Good morning, everyone. It's Nick Petro at the National Weather Service in Raleigh. It's Wednesday morning, 11:30, with your briefing for Central North Carolina as it relates to the ongoing river flooding. So, just wanted to go ahead and throw this out here, which this is again, let me underscore the word preliminary. This is preliminary statewide precipitation summary map. I know a lot of folks have been asking for this. So feel free to take and look at this. But do know that this may be updated as we get new data in, maybe some additional gauge data, maybe adjusting it, based on feedback from our neighboring National Weather Service offices. But this is preliminary, and you can see obviously where how the current the river flooding that's going on right now in southeast North Carolina. Look at obviously it's clearly evident why we have such really terrible flooding ongoing across eastern and southeastern North Carolina, with all the rain up to almost 3 feet in spots of rain. So clearly, we're talking the Cape Fear, the Neuse, the Trent, northeast Cape Fear. A lot of those rivers are experiencing major flooding, and again, thanks to 2 feet, nearly 3 feet of rain in spots that fell during Hurricane Florence and Tropical Storm Florence. So anyway, just wanted to show that. And just real quickly, the weather pattern. We've got high pressure over us right now, thank goodness. That is what's given us. I'm looking out the window now, and I don't see a cloud anywhere. So that's good news. Plenty of sunshine, dry weather today. High pressure will stick with us right through Thursday and Friday. No more rain today. Thursday, Friday, we're in good shape that weather-wise, good recovery weather. A little bit warmer than normal. Temps probably 3, 4, 5 degrees above normal. We're talking mid 80s, maybe 86, 87 in a few spots. So a little on the warm side. So be cognizant of that if you're working outside in recovery mode. This weekend, there's a front that's going to try to slip south. I'm not sure it's going to really get through us, but it may be close enough where it gives us a few scattered rain showers. Perhaps Sunday, maybe Monday into Tuesday. We'll see about that. But that is a more sort of typical weather pattern where we're not expecting any organized, heavy, major, not enough rain. I think that would really reignite any kind of flooding or anything like that, other than just the typical ponding type issues, but certainly not heavy multiple inch rain event. So no severe thunderstorms for the next couple days. Here's the Storm Prediction Center's maps here. Really no thunderstorms. And this is the accumulated precipitation forecast right through the next 7 days. Dry today, dry tomorrow, dry Thursday, mostly dry Friday and Saturday, although, as I mentioned, on Saturday, as that front slips southward through Virginia, I wouldn't be surprised north of Highway 85, north of Highway 64, seeing a few showers. But again, the rainfall amounts then and there are pretty low. And then that risk for a few isolated showers will continue right through early next week. Again, very light rainfall amounts. When you add up the 7-day totals, you're looking at the heaviest rain in the mountains and the least amount of rain in the coast, and that's good news, right? The southeast part of the state will see the least amount of rain in the next 7 days, and that is exactly what we need. So that's good news there. All right, so the rest of the briefing will focus on the flooding situation. So we've had a few major changes. That is, I'm going to update these two tables as I'm showing right now are not updated. I just didn't get I didn't have enough time this morning because we do these by hand. So I just haven't gotten through all the sites yet. So that's why I'm hesitant to show them to you. But do know that when I email these slides out to everyone, these two tables will be updated. All right. So let's look at in the meantime, let's look at the hydrographs. The Roanoke River is going to be in okay shape, minor flooding, just very, very minor flooding, not low or no impact type flooding on the Roanoke River. And then as we get to the Tar River, that one did sneak up there into minor flood stage. It's at cresting right now, about 21 feet. So that one actually did slip up there above flood, minor flood, and then is expected to fall pretty rapidly tonight. The rest of the Tar River appears to be in good shape. The Neuse River, obviously at Clayton, and just recently at Smithfield. Minor flood stage is 15 feet. That's exactly where it's at Smithfield right now. So within the next hour or two, that should be below flood stage at Smithfield. However, the major flooding is ongoing at Goldsboro and further downstream at Kinston. That takes, once you get down to Goldsboro and Kinston and Points East, it just takes a long time for that major flooding to go away. So, the river's a little different upstream than downstream. It just takes forever to empty out when you go downstream. So, Goldsboro, you're going to see major flooding continue, as well as folks who may be listening east of Goldsboro and Kinston. You're going to be dealing with flooding really through the rest of the week and even into early next week, looking at that major river flooding. So, I wish I had better news there. Cape Fear, at Lillington, it's looking for a secondary crest there, right around 20 feet or so is the forecast for a secondary crest at Lillington, and then is expected to fall tonight. Cape Fear, it hit just under 62 feet. That crust is happening right now as we speak, and it looks like it's going to take a while for that water for the Cape Fear at Fayetteville at least to fall below major flood stage. That won't happen until Thursday afternoon, so about 24 hours from now. So it's going to stay up at Fayetteville. It's going to stay up for at least another 24 hours in major flood stage. That turned out to be about 58 and a half, 59, 60. This is it looks like at Cape Fear it crested about roughly 3 feet higher at Fayetteville than it did during Matthew. So, and actually, the 62 feet is what we have been predicting for at least the last 4 or 5 days, and that's exactly about what it hit. So, about 3 feet higher than Matthew. So, with Cape Fear right now at Fayetteville. One of the tributaries to Cape Fear is the Little River at Manchester. That's been a big story here, how bad the flooding is. I mean, not just major, but record-breaking flooding at Manchester, near Spring Lake, and that whole general area there on the Little River. The whole Little River area there is just, unfortunately, the gauge has failed, so I don't know where it's at right now. But our best guess is that it's going to take at least until late day tomorrow before it falls below major flood stage. All right, the Yadkin River, looking a little further west, is below flood stage, thankfully. There is a temporary gauge, I believe, that was put in at the Rocky River. The original gauge has failed. A lot of times in these situations, if you're wondering, well, why do these gauges keep failing when we really need them with this major flood? And a lot of times, it's not necessarily the water. In some cases, the water goes over the gauge, and then the gauge fails because the water is so high that it just completely inundates it and destroys it just from circuitry being shorted with water getting in it and so forth. That kind of failure. The other big failure we see a lot of times is debris in these high waters, debris flowing down, and pieces of debris, whether it's logs or wood or something in the water that whacks these gauges and breaks them. Literally, the debris hitting them, impacting them. So, but I know a temporary gauge has been put in on the Rocky River near Norwood, and now fortunately it shows that, or maybe this site may have been fixed. There's been a few temporary gauges put in a few places, so I'm not sure if this one was a temporary gauge or if it's been fixed. I think this one actually is the original gauge. It was fixed, but don't quote me on that. I'm not entirely sure. There's been so much work going on with the gauges. Regardless, the good news is it's working again, and it shows it's below flood stage, so that's good news. Sorry about the tangent there. So, okay, Gene responded. Thank you for that information. Colleagues at the USGS put a temporary gauge near their Manchester gauge. So let me go back. Yeah, so yeah, I'm not getting that there. So Gene gave me a website here to show. So let me see if I can go to that, and I'll share that with folks towards the end. Thank you so much, Gene. I appreciate that feedback you typed into the question box there. I will be able to show a temporary gauge information here at Manchester, so stand by. Black River near Tomahawk. This is one where the water went over the gauge and got so high. Not really sure what's going on there, but clearly a big portion of Sampson County is underwater. or just devastation there in Sampson County. Our hearts go out to our folks who are in that area and in along the Cape Fear, and everybody, Neuse River, everybody who's impacted by this flooding. It's very, very unfortunate here. But some other sites you could see there near Princeton, that is gradually falling, and so is the case at Blewett Falls Lake, gradually falling waters there. All right, so we'll get to that Manchester temporary gauge reading here in a minute, but suffice it to say that significant river flooding is going to continue through much of the rest of the week. However, good news is we've got some dry weather and overall improving conditions. Hopefully wherever there's standing water, hopefully that'll dry up and go away soon. I know there's a lot of that going around, so we will be continuing aerial flood warnings. If you're wondering why do we have all these aerial flood warnings out, and that's just because of the standing water that's occurring across much of central North Carolina. Even places away from rivers where there's just low spots, you see a lot of that like surrounding people's homes just because of the way the land is, or landscaping perhaps around somebody's home. Just tons of standing water around, especially in the southeast portion of the state. All right, so our next webinar will be, we'll do another one Thursday, we'll do another one tomorrow morning, and then we'll see if we need one for Friday. I've got them scheduled till Friday, but hopefully we can get these wrapped up here soon, and we'll be emailing these slides as needed. So let me see if I can pull up a, bear with me here while I open a browser and try to get this.
I think based on the forecast at that time, and hopefully we're going to squeak by, but unfortunately did not. So they have actually gone in with this temporary rapid deployment gauge. And I sent you a link to a location map for that too. And I just don't recall, if you want to click on that, I don't recall, I believe it's upstream, but it says here at North Bragg Boulevard at Manchester. So being that I'm not a full-time employee, you now know what I know about it, but I guess the good news being here that it does look like it's receding, and I feel confident that they'll try and get back to the original gauge location as they can, and try and get that back online as well. As you all can imagine, there are just challenges for the USGS staff getting places as well, but I know they've done a fabulous job, and I commend them all, and that's what I know.
Okay, great, Gene. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that feedback, and it's great to kind of patch you into here to our webinar. I really appreciate it. This is actually the first time we've done this where we've let an attendee kind of patch into our webinar. We might try that again in the future. That seemed to work pretty well. So anyway, I appreciate that feedback, Gene, once again. Real quick question for you, Gene. So it shows it's at 32 feet and falling pretty quick. Is that the I assume that's the same datum as the original gauge?
Well, see, that's what I'm not sure of. Probably not. And I know they'll go back and try and tie it into an actual elevation at some point. If I can find that information out from them at some point today, Nick, I'll pass that along to you. So I guess I do want to caution people that it may very well not be to the same datum, but again, the good news here, just that it's on the recession. And I just want to commend you, Nick. I know this information has been tremendous help to USGS in terms of forecasts, and all the emergency management community with the resources available to the USGS in terms of getting around. We're certainly doing. I say we, I need to correct that. I know they are certainly doing everything they can to keep things operational and bring gauges back online. And it's, all hands on deck in North Carolina, and we have brought staff in from South Carolina and Georgia, and of course, a lot of national efforts being placed toward this too.
All right, very good. Thank you so much, Gene. I really appreciate it. Thanks for the commentary, the feedback, the information, everything that you do, everything that your colleagues do there, all our USGS friends and all of our partners, quite frankly. Thank you so much certainly is a team effort when one of these big events come, and historic events in many cases. So the good news, we have, it looks like this gauge is falling regardless of the datum. It is on its way down. So that is good news, and certainly good news that we can pass along to our friends and colleagues and emergency management community down there that are along the Little River and the Cape Fear. So thank you again, Gene, and to everyone else. All right. So, any other questions from any of the other folks on the webinar?